Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Walker, and I'm the manager of athlete development here at USA Volleyball. Today, I'm joined by Nick MacRae, and Nick is going to be sharing with us some advice for first-time international travel with athletes. So if you don't know much about Nick, Nick is currently the associate head coach at Long Beach State. He has been local to Long Beach area for a long time. And he has had multiple NCAA appearances in his coaching tenure there. So quite a successful coach, but he's also helped coach within our national team development pipeline and high performance pipeline. So he has a lot of experience in this area. So look forward to getting to pick your brain.
It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you.
So Nick, as you think about preparing athletes who might be in the national team development pipeline, or maybe your collegiate athletes if you're traveling,
Sure.
Internationally or a long distance. What are some basic recommendations that you have for athletes in considering a first long time away from home trip?
Anytime you're going into any situation, the first variable you got to focus on is what's in my control. And from a volleyball standpoint, we talk about your effort, we talk about your role, we talk about you're in control of what you're putting into your body. From a hydration standpoint, from how much sleep am I getting, from staying away from the video games. But as a coach, we like to come in or not come in and mandate you have to do X, Y, and Z. We actually put that ownership on the athlete, and you have to figure out who you are, what's the good, and also what are your areas of weakness that you can then dive into. Okay, I know I'm not good at on the road because of junk food, or I like to stay up all night because I'm so excited to be with my buddies. So if you're trying to have big aspirations and big goals of going to be with our national team and go to the Olympics, phase one is when you make one of those first rosters of how can you act like you're a professional. And from the volleyball standpoint, you'll continue to hear me preach and say it's all about finding solutions. So from the coaching standpoint, you're either going to be in the starting 6 or 7, or you're going to be a role player. That's outside of your control. Once you make that 12-man team, the coaches come in and say, this is the starting group, and then these are the guys from there. So what is your response once kind of E plus R equals O? R for us is the response. You can control that. You can't control E, which is the event. And the event in that situation is coach has the lineup. So how are you from a team dynamic standpoint? How are you as far as, okay, you're our serving sub. Are you completely bought in to be a serving sub? Do you know the opponent? Do you know their rows? Are you an active participant alongside the coaching staff? Are you prepared to be a blocking sub? Or is your ego so big that it's, hey, I have to be a starter or I'm out? So if there are kind of a few things that I leave you with there, it's have a solution-based mindset, lean on everything that's in your control, and focus on that, and then have a positive response to every event that comes along the way.
I love that. One of the big pieces that seems to be a through line in this advice for our young athletes as they think about international travel, as they think about national team performance, is this focus on what you can control.
Yeah.
Easier said than done sometimes for our young athletes. So how have you as a coach built that ability in your athletes, or help them cultivate that focus on what they can control?
Coming in again, so when we go and play international and have international experiences, and we go to international tournaments, it's one of the most incredible experiences out there, because here in the States, and I learned this from my mentor, so thank you, Alan Knight, for this, on TV, we have access to the NBA, so we see professional basketball, we see professional football at the NFL, and we see baseball. We don't see much men's volleyball on the boys' side. So when we go and play on the international circuit, internationally, it's soccer and volleyball. Those are the two premier sports out there. So it's very exciting for everyone who represents the USA with this U17, U19, and U21 when they go on these teams to see like, wow, my sport has all this support. Actually, these national teams within my same age group, they are way better than I thought they were going to be. And they all have different volleyball systems being played, whether it be tactics, whether it be they're only float serving, but in the United States, every kid just wants to have a jump serve right now. So where I'm going there, I take all of those possible solutions and then we train it with our guys in the gym. So I use serving as an example. With our U17s group, every kid came in here and said, I'm a jump server, coach. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna say you're not, I'm gonna say absolutely. We're gonna keep diving into your jump serve, but as a coach, we wanna have the ability to find solutions based on the opponent or different international team we're playing. And live time, we gotta have that tactic of you can possibly locate a float or locate your serve based on the situation to score a point. It's not taking down your ego, but it's to find a solution.
Absolutely. So as you help athletes frame what they're going to face in that particular case, you see a lot of international teams using different strategies on the court. So how do you train that in the gym of saying, hey, here's what we might see when we're going to play in China, or here's what we might see if we're playing, a Serbian team. How do you build that understanding in your athletes?
It's a fine dance. We want to focus on us being USA, and then we're always going to spend some time focusing on the opponents. And then even in our practice plan, we'll separate it into two mindsets. One being growth mindset, which is training mode. So in every drill, I'll go up to the guys and I'll say, hey, this is a growth mindset drill. We're going to act and go against our opponent. This is what we're going to see. And in any time we're in growth mindset or training mode, it's okay to learn, it's okay to fail, it's okay to grow and be uncomfortable. And then when we get back and focus on us, at the end of the day, whomever we're playing, we want to play our USA brand of volleyball. And when the scoreboard goes, we're in game mode. And even our young bucks right now know when we're in game mode, it means one thing. It means compete as hard as we can and try and win the next point, no matter who's on the other side of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the cultivating the growth mindset in that, and being able to do that when inherently, we're in sport, we're in competition. So there is a winner and there is a loser. There's an outcome there. So what are the challenges that you found with athletes as you tried to cultivate that growth mindset to say, hey, this is important, even though we still have this outcome sitting here?
There's two challenges. One is everyone seems to be a perfectionist. So I have to have it this way, and I'm very uncomfortable with growth because this is my way. And whether it be in the classroom, in the social life, or in volleyball, they're afraid, because of that perfectionist mindset, to take risk or go outside of it. So for me as a parent and a coach, it's at least addressing that. I'm not going to be able to change you outside of that perfectionist, but we're going to work on creating. We're going to work on failure. We're going to have a supportive mindset for all of our coaches to say it's okay to do something new, and then we're going to embrace it and give positive feedback when we do something new. And then the second piece of that is, and I'll give an example, the first thing that I addressed and that we worked on with our guys was, hey, let's set some big, massive goals. The example was, what's a big, massive goal? And I had one guy say, I want to be an Olympian. And I know that the rest of the room wanted to be an Olympian, but they looked around and they were nervous to state that big, massive goal. And a great quote, and I get this from Kobe Bryant, so giving it there and saying, and I want to make sure I get this right, is this generation and a lot of people are nervous to go after perfection or big, massive goals or massive growth because it doesn't have a guarantee behind it. And Kobe's quote and his point was, I can go after these massive aspirations that I know I may never even get to, but that's okay because I'm going to put in the effort, I'm going to keep going towards it, and everyone else beside me is going to give up, so that's going to give me the edge and advantage. So that's what we're trying to teach all of our USA athletes. Of one, it's okay to say that I have a goal to do something amazing. There's no guarantee behind it. I might fail, but I'm going to keep responding. And the only time that something's a true failure is if you just stop and you don't keep moving forward.
I love that, because you really frame it in setting this big aspirational goal, and then you walk it back and say, hey, the reason or the way you get there is the daily growth mindset, the daily process forward.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, absolutely. So as young athletes may hit obstacles in the path, maybe they get injured or maybe they don't get chosen for the national team, whatever the big aspirational goal is, how do you help athletes frame the bigger kind of failures or obstacles that they face?
It'll come back to what we've already said. The major word is, what's your response going to be? Are you going to quit and stop in general? Or are you going to try and find a way to respond and keep going? And then 2 would be, how can you own, again, all the controllables, but then it's ownership mindset versus blame mindset. And if I didn't make the team, of course, every competitor, and that's what makes the competitors great, there might be an initial blame, but then hopefully you're able to hone it and get to a point of, okay, what can I own? And when I do get the next opportunity, what's in my control and how am I going to be better? And we can look at every great leader in athletics and business in the world. Everyone that's done something great has had incredible failure, has conquered adversity, and pretty much everyone that's represents USA in our national team and the Olympians have gone through that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So any other big pieces of advice that you would give our young athletes who are just kind of entering into this maybe NTDP pipeline, or looking to kind of enter that pipeline, about what they should focus on or the mentality that they should bring into it?
We've addressed ownership versus blame. To be a good leader, it's bringing others along when times go well. So from a team standpoint, if you're the one that wins the point, your role in that standpoint is to come and deflect to everybody else and celebrate the good. But if you're the one that lost the point, or if losses are occurring, to be a good leader, it's taking that full ownership. And then I'd say, try and define who you are from a volleyball standpoint. So in basketball, they talk about the triple threat. In volleyball, what are your 3 primary, you as an individual, not trying to be anybody else, what are your 3 best volleyball skill sets? And keep pushing to improve those 3. And then what are your worst 2 skill sets, to kind of correlate the growth mindset and make sure that you've addressed, I got 2 skill sets that aren't very good, and try and make those better too.
Yeah, I love that framing. So the last question that I have kind of on this topic is, when we go toward national team competition, toward those higher levels of competition, or even international travel, relationships become really key. But you don't have a lot of time to spend with the guys you're going to be on the court with. So how do you help athletes cultivate strong relationships with their teammates?
It's check-ins, and we have to expedite it even when we get maybe only 3 days of training and then we're on the road. So from the coach and support standpoint, yes, the volleyball is important, but you can't build or have trust or build trust unless you build those relationships. So it's check-ins from coach to player, getting those check-ins and how we're going to communicate coach to player. It's player to player check-ins and how they're going to communicate together, and then working on player to self communication. And then as far as, we'll meet in positionals, we'll meet in small groups, we'll have team meetings, we'll have individual check-ins. And ideally by at least day 2, you're seeing the walls drop, vulnerabilities occurring, and that's from the coaching staff and the player standpoint, and in hopes that you're able to connect together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing all the wisdom, Nick.
Thank you.